What exactly is big data? Well, let's talk about this. Now, these days, we leave digital footprints and fingerprints with everything we do and everywhere we go that involves a digital action. So in other words, almost all the time. We generate data whenever we go online and when we carry our GPS-equipped smartphones, when we communicate with friends through social media or chat applications, and when we shop online. The amount of machine-generated data is rapidly growing too. Now, data that is generated when Internet of Things devices communicate with each other, or maybe industrial machinery and devices around the world, they're increasingly equipped with sensors and they gather and transmit data. So big data can be either structured. This is the type of data that's usually found in neat columns and rows in databases, or big data can be unstructured. Now think of things like email, audio recordings, video, social media posts, and so forth. Things that don't really fit neatly into a structured database format. So big data is used to refer to this collection of all the data that's constantly being generated by digital technologies and basically almost anything and any activity on the internet. Big data also speaks to the opportunity of using all of this information to our advantage. The importance of big data doesn't really revolve around how much data we have, because one organization's big amount of data might be another organization's small amount of data. It's really about what you do with it, what you do with all this data. Very broadly, you can think of a big data approach as an engine. To improve performance, you need to assemble the components to make them well integrated with one another. First of all, you have to have the data itself. You need to source that data, which, as we mentioned earlier, can be structured or unstructured or both. Then we have to have the data platforms that enable us to capture this data. And then we have the data analytics, and that helps us to clean up, make sense of the data, and do something with the insights that we gain through the analysis. Big data analytics uses specialized analysis and AI software engines from companies like IBM, SAP, Oracle, the SAS Institute, all to take care of and manage and analyze these large amounts of data. These queries and hypotheses and instructions are scripted to put the software to work in observing, interpreting, and making recommendations and decisions based on what the data is telling us. With an approach like big data and all of these associated analytics approaches, organizations can start to make sense of data that's being generated from digital technologies like phones or sensors, payment systems, cameras, wearable devices, and on and on and on. Here are just a few of the areas where big data is being used today. Improving business process. This is a big one. So for example, in a call center, big data analytics could be used to predict call volumes to make staffing decisions. Businesses can optimize their operations by matching supply to demand. Or you can understand your customers better by judging when a customer might be at risk of leaving or when customers are ready to move into a new product or a new service. You can also improve customer experience by gaining a better understanding of customers' behaviors. Now, for individuals, we can optimize their personal well-being by, for example, making recommendations based on wearable device data that's being captured. Or we can improve healthcare by analyzing data that is provided or generated by wearable devices. And then medical records can be used and matched against desired patient outcomes. We can enable better progress in science and medicine and research by analyzing massive amounts of diverse data sets. We can improve cities as a whole, for example, by using big data analytics to optimize traffic light signaling to reduce congestion or to increase lighting and police coverage in high crime areas. Now, more controversially, you can take the recent example of the use of Facebook data, some people might say the misuse of Facebook data, by Cambridge Analytica. Now, Facebook likes, status updates, posts, and photos can provide a lot of sensitive personal information about things like sexual orientation, race, gender, political affiliation, and as we've seen in recent years, That can be used to help predict voter support for certain candidates or parties in elections, or support for new laws or policies that are being proposed. Most industry analysts like IDC will tell you that more than 80% of the data that organizations have access to today is unstructured data. And almost 99% of the data growth is coming from unstructured data. So this is important. McKinsey, the consulting firm, they've estimated that 90% of the data that exists in the world today did not exist 2 years ago. That's amazing. The ability to analyze all of this data and integrate it into business management and other business processes not only has the potential to improve the corporate bottom line, but also our personal lives. Imagine that a financial services company has adopted a big data analytics approach concerning the information it has about its customers so that it can provide better offers to those customers. Now, think of this. The company monitors the interaction of things like spending patterns, consumer behavior, mobile usage, credit information, customer purchasing power, and social media interactions. Now, let's imagine that someone, why don't we call her Jenny? So Jenny has a credit card. She's got a checking account. She's also got a savings account, a home mortgage, and maybe a homeowner's policy through the company. Based on Jenny's activities, the company knows where she's traveling to, what she's working on, what her interests are. And then they can make the right recommendations for things like additional loans, or maybe increased credit card limits, or additional travel-related services. The possibilities for companies to monetize data connections like this are really limitless. Now, like most of the opportunities to leverage technology today, there are a number of digital strategies that need to be used together. For big data, that means crafting a strategy that includes things like using artificial intelligence, very specifically machine learning. Social media marketing is another technology that needs to be brought into the fold. And these other tools that, when they're used together, they can help you to monetize your data. Now, according to McKinsey, there are a growing number of companies that are using big data analytics and predictive analytics to drive growth, protect profits, and to manage risk. We're still in the relatively early days of this wave of data monetization, but already companies that are choosing to move ahead rapidly as first movers, they're growing. They're growing faster. They're gaining market share when compared to their industry peers. So this is an important space.